Well, my reaction to this exit poll is that it is Christmas come early for Boris Johnson. This is exactly what he wanted. He wanted a working majority. If, and this is only a projection, so it's a big if, small word, but big proposition. If indeed the Conservatives have anything like 368, that will be a comfortable majority for them, an appalling result if indeed Labour Party turn out to have 191 seats only. I think it's a matter of hours before Jeremy Corbyn has to fall on his sword. I would expect a resignation by tomorrow. Interesting, though, to hear the Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell, on one of the British main stations, trying to blame this projection and result on Brexit. Really, it just seems it's not just Brexit. Jeremy Corbyn's leadership was very much an issue on the doorstep. This is been said again and again. So we'll have to see what both men decide to do tomorrow. The Lib Dems, 13, that would be a terrible result for the Liberal Democrats. Going into this election, it was thought that they would do well. The more Joe Swinson, their new leader, actually was exposed to the public, did interviews, the more their rates fell. The Greens, again, just 1. The Brexit Party, 0. But the influence of the Brexit Party has been momentous. It is clear on this general election, whatever the final result is. Others, 19. So we said this is just a projection, but this could be the best result, looks like being the best result that the Conservatives would have since Margaret Thatcher in 1987. Equally, for the Labour Party, it looks like it would actually be the worst result in very many years. So a really momentous night. And of course, the biggest thing to take away from this is actually the future of the United Kingdom. We talk about 2020 vision. Well, I don't know if 2020 vision will be 2020 vision, it looks like in Downing Street. I can't quite hear the champagne corks popping yet. They will still want to see what the night brings. We don't have a single result yet. It's just a projection.
Indeed, just a projection, but it all seems to be beginning. Do you think, Benedict, and clearly you've observed this very closely in the work that you do for us so well, and we really appreciate the way you're able to explain how these things happen in the UK and bring that extra bit of understanding to it. Do you think we're reaching a point where the electorate in the UK is now changing beyond what people have thought of in generations past? And I'm thinking of maybe a parallel with the end of the Socialist Party in France. Is Labour reaching a similar situation in the UK, do you think?
I wouldn't compare it to France. President Macron bypassed the traditional system and annihilated the left and the right. So it's a very different proposition. I think a big part of this result is the polarization, actually, almost unprecedented, to have two leaders who are actually very controversial in certain ways, who are heavily criticized. What I haven't actually outlined yet in the projection, and let me just add that, it's not a footnote, it's the SNP, the Scottish National Party. If indeed they have 55 MPs in Parliament, expect the mother of all confrontations. It will be not just a re-energised, empowered Boris Johnson Prime Minister. Of course, he was elected leader by his party, but this is the first time he gets a mandate, and it seems a very comfortable one from the British people. But Nicola Sturgeon will be reinvigorated. She will absolutely be very much, of course, she doesn't sit in the Westminster Parliament, but she and her MPs will be very much pushing for that independence. She wants an independence referendum in 2020. So I think that will be very much part of the story, part of tonight to watch. I think there is a Brexit fatigue. We are 3.5 years after the referendum, and it's just relentless. What, of course, people forget is if indeed the United Kingdom leaves on the 31st of January 2020, that is just phase 1. Phase 2 will take months, many say, who are experienced negotiators, years. But what's interesting, if indeed there is this comfortable majority for a reinvigorated Prime Minister Boris Johnson, he will feel freer. And we think that he will maybe go for a softer Brexit. If he he has, and if this exit poll is wrong, a small majority, then we would have thought that he would be more under the influence of possibly a more extreme part of his party, the European Research Group, or indeed the DUP. This would appear not to be the case. So we think that he might even be comfortable not respecting that deadline of the end of 2020 and lengthening the transition process. Let's see who, when he has, if he has, that comfortable majority, what Boris Johnson finally really decides to do when he has not got a gun at his head from extremes in his party. It's going to be fascinating, and it means that tonight has been a historic night, if indeed, again, this poll is right, for the Conservative Party, a historic night, but a very bad one in that way for the Labour Party, an important night for the Scottish National Party, and definitely a historic night for the United Kingdom that's been very disunited, but where the British people's verdict appears now to be that this must be respected, this 2016 Brexit referendum result, 52%, remember, not predicted at the time by the polls. So a historic night, it seems, tonight, or Friday the 13th. For some unlucky, it would seem for Boris Johnson, a very lucky and empowering election result and future 2020.
Benedict Pavio, sheltering from the